Kara Knott was a 20-year-old San Diego State University student with a whole life ahead of her. She was a vivacious young woman with blonde hair and a wide, beaming smile. On the night of the 27th of December 1986, she left her boyfriend's house to travel down Interstate 15 to go home. However, she never made it there. Her parents called her boyfriend, but he didn't know where she was. Her father, Sam, went out looking for her. In the early morning hours, he found a white Volkswagen parked on a bridge near Mercy Road exit from the Interstate 15. Several feet from it, her body had been thrown off the bridge. Sam was so upset by her murder that he planted a garden there to remember her. Initially, Kara's boyfriend was investigated as a suspect, however he was later cleared. Witnesses came forward the night Kara died. She was last seen alive at the Chevron gas station, roughly 2 miles from where she was found. The attendant at the station recalled seeing a Californian Highway Patrol car making a U-turn on the road just after Kara had pulled out. Another witness recalled seeing a patrol car, accompanying a Volkswagen Beetle, thought to be Kara's, in the area at the time the murder occurred. Perhaps the best witness was an off-duty San Diego cop who noticed a disheveled and scratched Payer driving at a high speed. Payer claimed that he got the scratches from falling against a chain-link fence held in the Californian Highway Patrol parking lot, but an off-duty officer noticed them a full hour before Payer claimed he got them. Payer attempted to falsify his logbook, trying to show that he issued tickets in different locations at the time of Kara's murder. The ticketed motorist then came back and disputed his claims. The case was solved weeks after Kara's murder, when biological evidence tied Kara's case to a series of suspicious traffic stops by 36-year-old Californian Highway Patrol officer Craig Payer. Ironically, he appeared in a series of TV news interviews after her murder. Her skin was found on a rope in the trunk of his cruiser. It is believed he smashed her head with a flashlight, then strangled her with a rope before tossing her body over the bridge. Blood found on her clothes were believed to have belonged to him. Tests indicated that less than 1% of the population could have contributed this blood. He was among that percentage. Also, gold thread on her clothes matched threads taken from the shoulder patch of his uniform. Multiple women came forward and called into the TV station and the California Highway Patrol to report that Payer, the officer in their safety interviews, had pulled them over and acted strangely, asking them on dates. Some of them said that he pulled them over on the same exit where Kara's car was later found. 2 witnesses also saw a patrol officer pulling over a light-coloured Volkswagen Beetle that night. Fellow officers also recalled that he had bloody scratches on his face the day after her murder. Finally, another officer recalled that he had taken her to the exit where her car was found and stated that if you ever wanted to dump a body, this would be the place to do it. Despite maintaining his innocence, in 1988 he was tried and convicted in a murder. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. It is thought that Craig Payer killed Kara because she threatened to report him for his behaviour, whether that was questioning her about her personal life, asking for a date, or touching her. Payer may have been aware that a complaint about him had been made a month earlier and could have envisaged his 13-year career going up in flames. Such a threat could have made him snap. In 2004, as part of a wrongful conviction project, investigators from the District Attorney's Office asked Payer if he wanted them to test DNA on key evidence in the case. He said no. He was denied parole in January 2004 and again in January 2012. He will not be eligible for parole again until 2027. Sadly, Kara's father Sam passed away on the 2nd of December 2000. He was at the Memorial Garden when he suffered a fatal heart attack and died only a few feet from where Kara was found. Angela Hammond was an outgoing 20-year-old who lived in the small rural town of Clinton, Missouri. She worked as a bank clerk and was 4 months pregnant. She was engaged to Rob Schaefer, an athlete who planned to be in the military. At around 10 p.m. on the 4th of April 1991, she dropped him off at his home after a barbecue. They planned to meet later after his mother got home from work. He was babysitting his brother at the time. Angela went for a cruise and spent some time with her friend Kayla in the downtown square. At 11:15 p.m, they both parted ways. Angela called Rob from a payphone that was 7 blocks from his house. She didn't own a home phone and wanted to tell him that she was exhausted and planned on going back home to soak in a bath. The two continued speaking on the phone for 30 minutes. While talking to him, she noticed a suspicious man circle the block several times in a green Ford pickup truck. It then pulled up beside her. The driver got out and used the phone before getting back into his truck. He took out a flashlight and flashed it around the area looking for something. Angela asked him if he needed to use the phone, and he replied that she should just carry on and he'll try it again in a minute. Then out of nowhere, there was a scream from Angela. Rob dropped the phone and got into his car to save her. He drove towards the payphone and the abductor's truck sped past him in the opposite direction. Somebody, possibly Angela, yelled out to him from it. He threw his car into reverse and damaged the transmission. He followed the trucks for 2 miles before the transmission failed as he turned right. Unfortunately, the truck faded out of view and was never seen again. Rob was initially considered a suspect in Angela's disappearance. The abductor was described as a filthy white-bearded man who wore glasses and overalls. He drove a late 1960s to early 1970s two-tone green Ford pickup truck. The back window was completely covered by a decal of a fish jumping out of the water. They also uncovered Rob's broken-down vehicle in the middle of the street. Shortly thereafter, they found Angela's car abandoned at the shopping centre parking lot, with her purse still inside. A polygraph examination on him indicated that he was telling the truth. 2 witnesses came forward, seeing a truck and a suspicious person around the payphones between 11:30 and 11:45 p.m, shortly after Angela's disappearance. Within a week, Rob was cleared. The community rallied together, distributing missing person posters all throughout the town, plastering photographs on local storefront windows, diners, and truck stops that were frequented. Over 250 volunteers, including friends, family and the police, conducted an air and ground search, scouring the entirety of Clinton, looking for Angela. Water wells, creek beds, old country roads that are isolated, barns, woods, fields and abandoned buildings were all heavily combed, with no luck. Angela's abduction may have been connected to 2 other nearby kidnapping murders early in the year in Missouri. One involved a 42-year-old convenience store worker named Trudy Darby near Max Creek. She was robbed and kidnapped on the 19th of January 1991, and her body was discovered 2 days later. She had been raped and shot twice in the head. The other involved 30-year-old Cheryl Kenny, another convenience store worker in Nevada, who was kidnapped on the 27th of February that same year. She has not been seen since. Investigators held little hope that Angela or Cheryl were alive. However, there have been several unconfirmed sightings of Angela in the weeks following her disappearance. Angela's mother, Marsha Cook, later befriended Janice McCall, whose daughter Stacey vanished along with her friend Susie, and Susie's mother, Cheryl Levitt. Angela's and Cheryl's abductions remain unsolved. Trudy's murder, however, was solved 3 years later, with the convictions of half-brothers Jesse Rush, 15, and Marvin Cheney, 29. They confessed in the summer of 1994 to abducting and murdering Trudy Darby. They were arrested after Jesse had visited Kansas City and bragged to multiple friends that he was responsible for Trudy's murder and successfully got away with it. Jesse's friends were shocked by his revelations and rightfully alerted the police. Subsequently, he was interrogated and ultimately confessed to the crime. He professed that he, Cheney, and an accomplice had planned the abduction of Trudy beforehand. They entered the convenience store where she worked and held her up at gunpoint, stealing $220 from the cash register and forcing her into their vehicle. She attempted to defend herself, which only angered them more. They transported her to a nearby barn where they sexually and physically assaulted her. Afterward, they shot her once in the head and put her body in the trunk of their car and took her to a river to dispose of her. When they opened the trunk, they noticed that she was still breathing, so they shot her once more and discarded her body. Cheney denied the claims, and his wife verified his alibi, saying he was home with her. But police believed they were lying, and the brothers were sentenced to life in prison. Investigators suspect that the brothers were involved in the other 2 cases, however, they haven't been charged for them. Another theory is that it may have been the serial killer, Kenneth McDuff, who killed between 1966 to 1992, but this hasn't been confirmed. Some rumours suggest that Angela was murdered and thrown into a well in the old Artesian Park in Clinton, close to the site of the very old water ride, but it is unknown if this has been explored. A cash reward of $16,000 is offered for any leads to her whereabouts.